All right, many thanks for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, you're watching this morning on ITV. We're privileged to have Dr. Neville Obagedo. He's a lecturer in the University of Benin. He's going to join us to stress further the talking point this morning. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, viewers at home. ITV, thank you for having me this great Monday morning. But I'm here to complete my PhD. I'm still working on my papers. So
okay.
Just call me Neville Obagedo.
But your doctorate is in view.
Yeah, it's in view, but it's not, because before you know what's happening, somebody can come and accuse me of impersonation. And that we have some legal
I think that's okay.
All right, it's okay. The journey to 2023 election is on, and well, political parties are striving hard to outsmart each other. But let's now narrow it to the quest for paradigm shift. Is it healthy for the election come next year?
Well, when we talk about 2023 general election, what comes to mind is the fact that the Nigeria Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, states clearly that there shall be election in every 4 years into the office of the President and Commander-in-Chief, into the office of Governor, to the office of the National Assembly, that is both the Senate and the Legislature, the House of Reps, the State House of Assembly. And then the Constitution allows state government, state Houses of Assembly to fix their period of their own local government election. The first thing that comes to mind is that that process is guided by rules and regulations, and right now it is guided by the Electoral Act 2022.
Okay.
When we talk about paradigm shift as it relates to 2023, it is an indication that all is not well with Nigeria. All is not well with Nigeria on the educational front. Recently, there was a release of world ranking of universities, and University of Ibadan, which is #1 in Nigeria, occupied the position of 436.
Between that.
Yes, while our own university also occupied another position that was lower than that of UR. It is a message to the political class and to Nigerians that those who make provision for university education, tertiary institution education at the federal level, i.e. Mr. President, the ministers, top government functionaries like permanent secretaries, they make provision, financial provision.
That help run
yes,
affairs of tertiary institutions.
But their children are not, they are not schooling here. If you go to the state governors, their House of Assembly members, the members of the Executive Council, they make provision for running of state tertiary institutions. And all the schools within the Ministry of Education at the state level. Yet, their children are not in these schools. So when we are talking about paradigm shift, we need, of a truth, we need paradigm shift. Because, as I said earlier, all is not well with Nigeria. And I give an instance of the educational sector just now. Is it in the area of security? When we are talking about security, those in government, they always have the erroneous belief that when we are talking about security, you are just talking about arming the police, arming the armed forces, and then people should not go into crime. They can just be cracked down. That is just an aspect of security. The first aspect of security that the government needs to provide is the food security.
Okay.
Food security, when you have made food security available for the citizens, and then you give them rules and regulations, and they now go against these rules and regulations, you have the justification to now deal with them. Now, today, if you look at the current statistics from the Nigeria or National Bureau of Statistics, you will discover that poverty rate in Nigeria is increasing and unemployment is increasing. The people that are in position of authority, who are supposed to make life easier, who are supposed to put machinery in motion for employment to be generated for the people, they take employment opportunities from Nigeria and take abroad. For instance, you see government, they will be importing rice, they will be importing other things. The place that the rice is coming from, you are creating employment here and creating unemployment here.
Yeah. Okay, now, Dr.
The list is long about what is wrong with Nigeria that we need paradigm shift about.
Okay, Mr. Neville, I'm sure Favor Saro have a question for you.
You know, we're talking about paradigm shift. Going back to the 2019 election, don't you think that this call was also made at that time? What makes it different this time around? What makes it different come 2023 election? What makes this call different from, because don't you think that people actually wanted more as at 2019 and now 2023, the general elections? What makes this call different this time around?
You see that the world itself is dynamic. After 2019, when the President Buhari's administration was returned back to office, the following year we had that was 2020.
Yeah, governorship.
And then we had an outbreak of what has come to be referred to as COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the way and manner the government of Nigeria, several other governments, handled COVID-19 left much to be desired and laid foundation for some forms of protest that raises question about how governance is being provided elsewhere and in Nigeria. One aspect. You are aware that during that period of COVID-19, several warehouses of various states were broken into because those in government kept those things that they were supposed to give to the people to assuage their suffering and their staying at home policy of government. They were keeping them for political reasons. Now, that laid foundation for the people to know and understand that they can clamor for paradigm shift. One aspect. Another aspect, the killing of George Floyd in the United States by a racist police officer.
Police, yeah.
Laid foundation for protests across the world.
Yeah.
And these protests across the world led to certain changes in several institutions abroad that were having signs of racism in their various schools. And then after that protest of George Floyd, which was here, yes, then we now had SARS protests in Nigeria. So all of this and the growing insecurity in this country lays the foundation for what we have come to refer to as paradigm shift as we are approaching 2023. Before now, like in 2015, people saw what was going on during President Jonathan's government, and they felt there was need for paradigm shift.
Okay.
That was what brought this government. And now Nigerians have been looking at this government, and many people are now calling for another paradigm shift.
Okay.
From this government to another government.
What makes you think this one is going to be different from others? Or do you not hold that thought?
I don't hold the view that this election is going to be different from other elections.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, let's now look at it. You talked, when you started in your opening, you actually talked about the educational system not being okay. Now, does the educational qualification of a presidential candidate matters?
Well, I don't, because when we talk about qualification, what I've discovered is that in Nigeria here, people are busy wanting to be elected to House of Rep, House of Senate, some want to be president, some want to be governor, some want to go to House of Assembly. It's not because they have the interest of the people at heart. It's just because of their own interest they want to go.
Looking at the highest position in the country.
Yes, I'm coming to the position of the issue of office of president. Somebody who is not even educated, somebody who did not go to school, who is well abreast with what it means to govern a society of diversity, a family of diversity, can be president. Because we have seen countries like even as recent as Burkina Faso, there was a coup recently. So we don't know the qualification of those who have been presiding over affairs of various countries. and yet we see good governance there. The other day, one Prime Minister, Mohammed Mahathir Ibn Mohammed, was Prime Minister of Malaysia for about 24 years, if you put all the years together. And he's described as the longest serving head of government in Malaysia. If you look at Malaysia's history, right from the time it became independent in 1957, you will see that Malaysia has witnessed a lot of economic growth. Economic growth that made that country to be one of the most economically prosperous countries in the world in general, and in the Southeast Asia in particular. I don't think age matters, but when you talk about, I beg your pardon, you're talking about age, educational qualification. Somebody who wants to preside over the affairs of Nigeria should at least have a good university degree.
Okay, talking about good university degree now, the 2023 election is a make or mar for us as a nation, and there have been serious quests for change. Do you think there's any tendency Nigerians are going to miss it come next year? Is there any tendency?
Nigeria will miss it. I'm not a prophet of doom. Nigeria will miss it. How will Nigeria miss it?
How?
Yeah, I'm asking the question and I want to answer it. How will Nigeria miss it? I just made an example of Malaysia just now. If you go and study the history of Malaysia, you will see that Malaysia is made up of the Malays, Indians, Chinese, people from Singapore, just people from neighboring countries who came to settle. Yes. So it is a multi-ethnic society, multicultural society. And yet, excuse me, they are operating a federal system of government like our own. They have Kuala Lumpur and Paratia as their capital, administrative and national capital. Now, what the leaders of Malaysia, what the leaders of Singapore, what the leaders of Thailand have done around that axis, there is a difference between Nigeria and these countries. And why Nigeria is going to miss it in 2023 is the fact that they have produced nation builders. Nation builders. There is people who downplay the characteristics that divide them and play up those things that unite them. I listened to some candidates and their supporters, the kind of politics of ethnicity, ethnic politics that they are playing, politics of religion. As recent as some days ago, a presidential candidate of one of the leading political parties said that a particular section of the country will vote for him. They should vote for him because he's from there. They should vote for him because he's practicing their religion, which is a dominant religion. That kind of person, that kind of candidate will make us to miss it in 2023 if he's elected president. Because he's being president, he's going to be presiding over the affairs of Nigeria, using his religion as a tool of oppression, using his ethnic origin and the part of the country that is from as a tool.
And his region
yes.
he came from
yes.
may be on the receiving side.
Yes.
But don't you categorize that as probably just a political statement?
A political statement. There are some political statements that have consequences for the unity of a country. And any sensible politician should not be playing on the intelligence of the people that is going to seek their vote in an election, in a decided election of this nature. So, as I said earlier, I said Nigeria is going to miss it by 2023 because we don't have nation builders. If we have nation builders, we'll get it right. We may get it right later, but in this 2023, we don't have nation builders.
So are you saying among all the
it,
candidates, none of them have the capacity to take this nation to the next level? Is that what you're saying in court?
Taking taking Nigeria to the next level.
Out of, you know, the situation the nation is facing at the moment, cutting across security, hunger, you know, and scarcity and stuff like that.
When you talk about the situation that the nation finds itself, and we are thinking that one person will be president and the problem will be solved, we are just joking, you know. We are joking. I will give you an instance. And I like to give this instance. These television studios in Ovia Northeast. And Ovia Northeast is in Edo State. In this state, if you know the amount of illegal weapons that enter this state, you will be shocked. Sometimes when you see maybe community clashes and you see people using weapons, you'll be asking yourself, where did they get these things? Is there any open market where people can just go and buy these things? Now, let's leave that aspect. The major aspect is this. Part of the problem that we are having, which has to do with the issue of foodstuff, the problem of a high cost of foodstuff that we have, access to farms and the rest of them. The problem, as it relates to Edo State and other states, there are problems that can be tackled within the state. Okay. When the government of that state work with the communities, if there's a local government in that community, local government chairman, councillors and the rest of them, it will be easier to tackle problem of insecurity, especially the one that is coming from people who are not indigenous of that place.
Thank you so much.
So if we are thinking that the president, when the man becomes president, let's say in this case now, as we are talking about 2023, that Tinubu becomes president or Atiku Abubakar becomes president or Obi becomes president, that then all the problems of Nigeria will not be solved. The answer is no, it cannot be like that. We Nigerians, we are the one that will support the president to succeed. How are we going to support the president to succeed? In our various offices, in our various states, in our various communities, we should ensure that the right thing is done. If we are waiting for Mr. President to carry magic wand to come and enter the office and perform the problem of Nigeria and to resolve the problem of Nigeria, we will not get it right.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Neville, for taking time to be part of the show. Well, this is what we'll be drawing the curtain for today. Whatever have a beginning surely has an end. Daniel Prezo said, Debame Jonokome is my name. On behalf of Sonny Duke Okosu and Favor Sarah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would have called you Prof, but I would wait for a while before I call you that. It was nice having you here. Thank you very much.
All right, on behalf of the entire crew member and our senior colleagues on the Duke Okosu, do have a beautiful day. Up next, Business Rendezvous with Dennis Olfik.